to order. Again, appreciate everybody's attendance. We'll go ahead and begin with an invocation by Commissioner Summers, and then our Sheriff, Kevin Potter, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee in commission today, we appreciate the things that You do in our lives. May we be able to be blessed with some more precipitation, that we may be able to continue to have water for the valleys and our crops to grow. Please watch over us this time, the Christmas season. We'll be able to have Thee in mind, and we'll be able to reach out to those people that are sick and afflicted and feel alone at this time. Please watch over everybody that keeps us safe, that they may all be able to go home safe at night, and have a special blessing upon those people that are overseas, that are watching over our peace overseas also. Please help us to go home in safety, and we keep Thee in mind through this Christmas season. We ask these favors and blessings in the name of My Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Did you gentlemen have a chance to read through the minutes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes for November 22nd, 2022 and December 7th. Can we do them both at the same time?
Yeah.
December 7th, 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, former agenda items.
We had something we put on the last commission about some of our water shares. And it's come to our attention that we're talking about, best use and stuff. And we've been putting our water shares back in the canal company for I don't know how long. So I think we're going to bring this back to your attention and see if you would want to just lease them on our own and make a little money, or sell whatever's the best that we can do for the county. So I think we'll come back, and I know we voted and passed it, but it's come to the attention. I think it's in our policies for better use, whatever's the best use of those things. So I'm pretty sure there's some farmers out there that'll lease them from us, and if not, maybe somebody will actually buy them from us. So
you'll want to start with a motion to reconsider?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we reconsider that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider the Bear River Canal Company water shares going back into the lease pool. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you can have more discussion and then make your motion as if it's new.
Right. So
What's the best interest though, to sell or just lease? I would think lease probably might be your best bet, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think so. From what I understand, water shares technically are considered real estate. I know that they can be used in 1031 exchange transactions. And so they are considered real estate, and so it would need to go through our surplus property process, and so it would need to go before the Planning Commission. So my recommendation would be that it go before the Planning Commission in our January meeting. They have a chance to discuss it under our surplus property procedures, and then it could come back to the other commission at that point with some input. During that time, we'd also have the ability to gather additional information about anybody that might be interested in either leasing those or purchasing them. I think the lease would be the better option, just in case the county ever needed those shares.
Right.
To retain those. But, after the information that you got back, that it's all about highest and best use.
Yeah, we're going to make sure we keep us covered in the future when it comes to canal shares, because we do use quite a few at the fairgrounds and other areas. So we're going to make sure that we're covered in that aspect. But yeah, I agree with that.
I'll make a motion that we do as Chairman Scott said, that we put it up for lease, review the thing with the Planning Commission, and then have it come back to the commission in January.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Any other former agenda items?
Yeah, your administrative review.
Yeah, we skipped over that.
Okay. Do you gentlemen have anything that we need to go over or review?
I can't remember. Am I supposed to do something here? Oh, yeah. We have yeah, there you go. We have somebody from the governor's office here today to honor the two to my left. And so, I know there's money out there saying that I'm going to cry during this, but I'm probably not going to. But Marta's over there making faces at me, so. We want to make sure that they, the governor's office came up, and Mike Maurer, if you want to talk about probably the three best people in government today, it's Mike Maurer and these two Jeffs. She's all up to you, Mike.
Well, on behalf of Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, it's always with mixed emotions that we come here at the end. I get the chance to travel around the state a lot, and I view my relationship with local officials of, if my car broke down in this county, would I dare call the county commissioner for help? And undoubtedly, if I was ever down in Grouse Creek or popped a tire in Snowville, I wouldn't hesitate to call any of you at any time of night to come and help, because we've really appreciated that. And the governor and lieutenant governor have also appreciated their work with you. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember COVID that went through a while ago. It was probably one of the most challenging times for anybody in government. And what the governor wanted me to convey was how much he appreciated working with the three of you, that you're good to share concerns, but you didn't, cause conflict and contention. And he sincerely appreciated that and wanted me to share with you his, for those of you who were involved, thank you so much for all of your work in helping the state get through that and helping Box Elder County get through that and balancing, individual liberty and individual rights with public safety and health concerns. But as we talked to many, Jeff, you two are noted throughout the state for your incredible support, for your diligence, for your hard work. Our new commissioners will have big shoes to fill, and I'm sure they can do that, but it's going to take a while to get up to speed because of all the good works you've done for the state. Box Elder's in great shape. As we look at the 29 counties, Box Elder's doing so well, and a lot of that is due to the great work of all three of you. And so with that, the governor's asked me to present you two with certificates. Jeff Hadfield, in honor of your 7 years of dedicated service to the county. Jeff and Scott, in honor of your 8 years of dedicated service for the county. The state truly appreciates what each of you has done and will continue to do for the next week. So anyway, with that, thanks so much.
And just for the records, it's 8 and 9. But
8 and 9. Okay, well, we'll print new ones. We can. Let's see. I don't have my glasses on.
If it says Jeff, we're good. We've gotten used to that.
I think they're wrong. Check those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are.
Switch those really quick. Yes.
We're
I brought my
interchangeable.
glasses, but they're a little bright for Box Elder. I got pictures of the switch. Okay, thanks. Great.
thanks, Mike.
Thank you,
Again,
Mike.
Thanks so much, and we sincerely appreciate the work of the commission. I don't know if county residents appreciate, there's a tendency to think you're just on during commission hours. What people don't realize is it's a full-time job plus, and you're either going to or coming from Salt Lake or to Grouse Creek or wherever to do your jobs right. You two have done an absolutely excellent job. Stan's been great. You're probably one of the best examples of a commission form of government that works really well together and achieves great things for the residents of your county. So on behalf of a grateful state, again, thanks you two.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, and I want to thank you, Mike, and the governor's office. You guys have been great to work with, and especially, if we can't get a hold of governor or lieutenant governor, you've been great to follow up with us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Glad to do it. Go Box Elder.
I would echo that. It's amazing. We can literally get a hold of Mike, like he mentions, any time of the day or night, and he responds. And we don't always agree between state, local, and federal. But if there has been any kind of, I don't even want to say disagreement, but a difference of opinion, it's worked out. They've been amazing to work with. And we really appreciate it. The governor, the lieutenant governor, especially you. It's been a pleasure. So thank you.
Best wishes, and if you're interested in board appointments, let me know. We want to keep your service going for the state, so thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike.
The only other thing I've got is that our rodeo committee just came back from the NFR, and out of 649 rodeos in the nation, Box Elders was rated number 40. So that's kudos to Jan and the rodeo committee. It's amazing that out of that many rodeos in the nation. And because of that, we've been trying to see how we can fill up Wednesday night. And the PRCA has given us the okay to actually have bowls come back on Wednesday nights. And then it was Jan and my idea that we're going to have a family night on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, because we've been selling out so much, and that'll give people a chance to come in on Wednesday night at the same value of on Thursday night. So kudos to everybody involved, and that's amazing.
You thought about moving it to Tuesday and kicking it off then?
I'm afraid everybody else would shoot me.
Yeah, you can throw stuff at me now. Go ahead.
So the next commission will be working on starting the rodeo the 1st of August. And just taking it through the entire-
I'm going all the way through September.
It may come to that. It's popular.
that's
it's
crazy.
it's good entertainment. There's good people. So no, that's great news.
Yeah.
Number 40 out of almost 700 rodeos.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And I think the only reason that the other ones got higher is probably just because of the size of the venue. It's definitely
Well-
not the quality of the.
I actually asked them to go
Competitors.
back and look at, see what, like, how many people they have in their area, you know, like population-wise in their counties and stuff, so. Because I'll bet you if they did that by county, we'd be in the top 5 for, 56,000 people putting this kind of stuff on, so.
No, that's awesome. Okay, thank you. Any emergency management issues? Again, we do want to thank our law enforcement and EMS. There's been a couple of pretty tragic accidents that have taken place here in the county over the last week, and they've done a lot of work to make sure that people are taken care of, to be there on the spot, and we appreciate them, especially this time of year. So please pass that on.
It's a tough job. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a couple of fatalities just in this last week that has not been good, so I don't like those phone calls at 4:30 in the morning when the bus rolled over, and, it's pretty amazing how many people came together that night and got everything done. I think there was 5 different communities that sent ambulances and help through that system, so, and then our hearts go out to those people that lost their loved ones in the last little while. And it was tragic to be able to think that you're going into Christmas one short, so.
Okay. Anything we need to cover on ARPA?
I don't think so. I think we're good till next year. Okay.
Very good. Okay, let's see. First item on the agenda, sponsoring a study on economic benefits of the Bear River water system. Nathan.
Thank you.
Who's that?
Yeah, just introductions, Nathan Dowgs. I'm the,
You gotta sit down and talk into the microphone,
you'll
sorry.
not be able to see me if I sit down.
Oh, we got you.
We got you.
Nathan Dowgs, I'm the manager of Cache Water Conservancy District. And I've been meeting with a number of agencies. I met with the Northern Utah Soil Conservation District a couple weeks ago, and Commissioner Hadfield was there and said it might be good to come and present to the commission here. So we're trying to get funding together to do a study on the entire Bear River system, starting in the headwaters in Utah and through Idaho, Wyoming, and back to Utah, to show the economic benefit that the Bear River system provides to those counties before it gets to the Great Salt Lake. You know, the focus right now is on saving the Great Salt Lake, and we're certainly on board with that. But we don't want things to get overlooked upstream for the benefit of the lake and the detriment to the counties upstream of that. So the Great Salt Lake Advisory Council did a similar study on the Great Salt Lake in 2012. If you watch the news really at all, you've probably seen clips of that study, the economic benefit of the Great Salt Lake, somewhere between $1.2 and $1.5 billion annually. The majority of that coming from the mineral extraction industry on the lake. So we just want a similar study on the Bear River watershed. So as we move forward with projects to save the lake, if you look at the governor's budget this year, he's proposing a little over $500 million for water infrastructure projects, primarily aimed at saving the Great Salt Lake. $100 million of that is for leasing water on a one-year term from water users primarily in the Bear River system to not farm or farm less to get water to the lake. You know, what are we going to give up for that $100 million for the lake? And so it's just to have a better comparison. So as we work with those other entities on strategies to help the lake, that we don't do it at the detriment to our economies in the counties upstream. And so we actually put the RFP out a couple weeks ago. It goes for about 3 more weeks to get a firm in place to do this study. We hope to have it done by October of 2023 so that the legislators have it in their hand going into the next session. And we're just looking for other sponsors to help fund the project. Either way, it'll go forward. If we don't get enough funding, the Cache Water District will just make up the difference. We have a $50,000 grant from the Division of Water Resources. That's our biggest one. The Cache Water District's putting in $25,000 right now. And then we've got about 8 other entities, the Soil Conservation Districts, Bear River Canal Company, Bear River Water Users, Bear River Water Conservancy District, the Farm Bureaus. So we've got a lot of entities coming together, but we're just looking, the more collaboration we have on this, we think the more weight it will have behind it when it's done.
So let me ask you a question. I know that Bragg just gave us a huge impact. Did you remember reading that study that they sent us this last couple of weeks? So the Bear River Association of Governments and Laura Gale.
Yes, I'm working with her on this one.
Okay, because she's got a bunch of information that she should be sharing with you, so it maybe makes that.
Yeah, so they just finalized one on the benefits of Bear Lake.
And then
similar study.
and coming down, yeah. So it's on both of those. So we probably ought to take a look and see
Yeah,
about
so
both
she's
of
actually
those.
the one that wrote the RFP for this one.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm working with her closely on this
Okay.
to do that.
Is there anything coming from like mineral extraction or
It's like
is
Compass
this,
Minerals, somebody.
Are
There's
they-
not. The Great Salt Lake Advisory Council, which you know, they're a member of that, is putting in $15,000 towards
Okay.
it. Mineral extraction itself isn't putting in any funding. And we've got a few grants that we haven't heard back on in Idaho, still
How
out.
much you think it's gonna cost?
We're estimating 150,000 to get it done. And it may be a little bit more because we're kind of squeezing their time frame down. We hope to have the RFP out a few months ago, but until we had enough money committed, we didn't want to put that out. But we think, I mean, and really, this is probably the first study of many that will need to be done in the watershed to break it down to show really how the water is used and the benefit that we get from that water before it gets to the lake. Because, you know, water that's diverted in Rich County for irrigation probably gets used 3 more times before it gets to the lake. And show that effect really needs to happen so that we're not saying we're just going to dry up ag land to save the Great Salt Lake, because that's not the answer. It's going to take a lot of little things to mediate the lake. The biggest one is Mother Nature's got to change, or we can't save it. I mean, but we can slow it down and help it for sure.
So I always have to take the opportunity to put forth Lee Perry's idea when we were talking about this about 6 months ago. Ruby Pipeline has gone bankrupt, and it's 200 miles from the coast, and it goes right through the north arm of the Great Salt Lake. And I don't know why we're not looking into actually doing something instead of studying. I also tell people 150 years ago, there was a bunch of farmers with shovels and horses that looked at Bear Lake and said, hey, look, I think we can go across those mountains and make that place fertile. And now we stand in what they've done 150 years ago. And what are we going to do 150 years ago now when people look back at this time? Are we going to stand up and make a decision? Or are we just going to study it so we don't make anybody mad?
Yeah.
And people say, well, that water can't come through that. And I said, it'll work once. And if it works once and fills it up, then you can study the heck out of it when it's full and see what we need to do in the future. But there is no sense of spending $1 billion studying when there's a solution right in front of us.
Yeah, and that's, I will say there are people looking at that,
Yeah.
whether it's a pipeline from the coast or a pipeline from the east, because it's not just Utah that's in trouble, right? It's the whole Colorado Basin and the whole West. And so I think there are entities looking at some of those, what some people think are crazy ideas. They are being looked at, but it's not a quick solution, right? We couldn't just turn that. We think we could, but environmentally, to get through that process, unfortunately, is
Well, most of
It's a long
that
process.
environmental process, the EISs have already been done. So I'm here to tell you, if
Yeah.
you're thinking it might not be as easy as it looks, but somebody's just got to stand up and say, okay, we're going to do this once, see how it
Your
goes.
former representative and now Director Ferry has openly expressed that that's an option that they're examining. So
So
not to say it's off the table, but this is a little smaller than something like that.
Right.
will you come back to us and let you know how much you need? Because I would say that, with our quality growth fund or economic development, I think we'd be interested in putting some money into that.
Yeah, I mean, and
Because
I
it
think,
affects us a ton.
five or 10,000, I think from the county level would be great for us.
Well, that's why I asked him to come. to
Yeah, if that's
commission, 'cause I
something you
thought
can
we could
do.
Probably help him out.
Yeah, I would say, I think honestly, just let us know what you're lacking.
Okay,
Come back to a meeting or text some of us, and that'll be the new commission, but I'm sure that they're going to support
perfect.
what we do with the economic development so we can do what we need to do. Because like I said, the Bear, and then interesting enough, I mean, that shut down the Bear River Bay or whatever you want to call it for the winter water storage that comes out of the Bear. So, and if we're going to think about continuing to have water, not only for our crops, but for our people too, we've got to somehow get this all taken care of.
Yeah, it's not gonna be an easy solution for any of us.
No, I think some of the stuff that's in the legislature with water banking and not losing, your rights due to, beneficial use, missing out on that. So
Yeah, and
I think there's a lot of steps that are being taken. It's just none of it's going to be enough without changing the weather pattern.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. It is, I mean, they are shutting off the north arm of the lake, and so everything will go to the south, and hopefully that'll help a little bit this year. But yeah, if you look at the last couple years of hydrology, there's not enough water in the system to add 7 million acre feet to the lake and bring it back to its 83 heyday, so.
We've been talking too, because Grouse Creek has a water right that goes to the Columbia that hasn't been used or tapped. It's fresh water, and whether we trade it for, like you said, coming from the east or coming from the Snake, whichever direction it needs to be, that's another thing and another option that we should be looking at.
Yeah, a pretty small canal could get water from the Snake into the Bear.
Mm-hmm.
But Idaho's not really on board with that idea.
Well, they might not have a choice.
Okay.
Okay, perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
Hey, thanks for the info.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Okay, Annie.
All right. We have in front of you today an interlocal cooperation agreement for indigent defense management services with Cache County. Just a little bit of background with that. The U.S. Constitution and the Utah Constitution requires the county to provide assistance to indigent individuals if they're involved in criminal proceedings. And to do that, the prosecutor's office, the county attorney's office can't really be involved. Right now, we have an existing contract with the Box Elder Defenders Association, who provides those services. We get a lot of grant funding from the state, from the Indigent Defense Commission, and they've really been incentivizing creating regional defense council groups between counties because they believe that will provide a higher quality of defense services to these individuals. Right now, in front of you, this agreement would enlist Cache County's current full-time employee, Michael McGinnis, and he would provide oversight, management, and handle all of the grant funding from the state, all of our requirements with that, and also would be the point of contact to handle any contracts that we have with the actual on-site defender group. As far as I understand, that doesn't include any actual defense work on his side. It would just be in managing those agreements and contracts. And this will make it so that we have to put out to bid for a new defense agreement. Cash has been willing to enter into a one-year agreement, that's what this is, to allow him to provide those services for a fee. We've also been reached out to by Weber County, who is interested in more of an actual regional defense office. They also have in-house defense attorneys, and that's something that we can definitely look at in the future if the commission has an interest in it. But this agreement would be for 1 year to have Cache County assist us with managing those agreements and grants.
I really appreciate Annie's work on this. We've had several meetings with Cash, with the Indigent Defense Commission, folks themselves, and the managing defenders, and this would work out really well, especially since Cash, Rich, and Box Elder are all in the same district. And so that would obviously, really help. And we already do Bear River Health, Bear River Mental Health, Bear River Association of Governments together, and so we really appreciate Cash especially being willing to look at this. So you gentlemen have any questions?
I just got a comment. I think we're in one of only 3 states that the state doesn't pick up the entire portion of this. So we've tried to run a couple bills in the past few, but we're one of only 3 states that our state doesn't pay for it entirely. So I think there might be some, and then the reason this is so hard is because in the last 4 years, there's a 4-year backup on cases. So it's been tough on our legal services all the way around, so.
Yeah, we're finally getting some of these cases in front of the judges that have been backed up during COVID. And so it's tough for the defender's office, but it's equally tough for our county prosecutor, for their office, and so. Okay,
I'll make a motion we approve the cooperative agreement 22-45.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Charlene?
Thanks, Sharon.
Do you want to give us let's go ahead and open the public hearing. And,
Want me to do a summary
yeah.
first?
yeah,
of-
we'll
'cause
open it and then we'll have
I
you do
didn't have
the
it done
summary
in
and then.
time for it to be posted, so.
Okay.
We have about 18 accounts that we're changing budget on. Of those, 7 of them are ARPA-related. It's hard to estimate how much we'll spend in a year, so we had estimated a lot lower. And we also have to match the revenue that we show to match how many expenditures we have. And so I adjusted several lines for that spending that we've done this year. And you'll see the professional tech line is a big one. That's where we put all of the subrecipient things we've done. So like the Boys and Girls Club and Bear River Water Conservancy District and those things that we did this year. Some of the other items are related to grant revenue. You'll see a portable ventilator where we're getting grant money for that. Also the particulate study, I don't think that's really defined as a grant, but we are getting state funding for that, and we didn't have a budget for that. And we're also transferring some from municipal service to the library to help their fund balance that we had get quite low. And a little bit of fuel, and we moved our cameras that we put in our cars to the motor pull lines so that it's more easily seen. And then there's the remodel we did to the Justice Center, and we had not budgeted to do that the way we're doing it out of the Justice Center funds. So that's kind of a summary of the changes.
Thanks for your work.
Yeah, thanks,
Hasn't
Ray.
been fun this year, has it?
Been an adventure.
Now, we did take the COLA on the employee thing down, didn't we?
Yeah, and this is for,
That's next. This is 2022 budget.
Okay.
So this is
All
for
right.
this year's changes. We do need a public hearing for that.
okay, we do have the public hearing open. This is for the amendments to the 2022 budget. If anybody would like to speak to this, please come up. Limit your comments to 3 minutes and specific to the amendments to the 2022 budget.
Oh, first of all, congratulations, Jeff, and thank you for your years of service. I can honestly say that, that when I've called and needed some help or advice, whatever, you guys have been there to come out and look at the problems we have and be able to help us. And on your pipeline, if I might go back, gas line for the water coming out of the Pacific, they're still pumping oil through that. I couldn't address that indirectly too. Concerning the budget, gosh, guys, this is a time that I take a look at it and I think, are you really separating our needs from our wants? Or these folks or these entities that are wanting basically more money? And if the paper was right with the $8 million shortfall deficit robbing from Peter to pay Paul, I don't know or remember of a time that when the times are as tough as they are today, I worry about our young kids buying these homes and all of a sudden here goes their property taxes up 100% on one of the worst years that we've had facing economy. Interest rates keep going up and the bubble's about ready to break. And I can go on about agriculture, whatever, but you know, somebody says, well, God, you're selling your hay for $300 a ton, but as you have new tractors costing twice, you know what I'm saying, as far as their input costs. I look at the county fair. Trust me, there's nobody loves the Box Elder County Fair more than I do. I've been one of the few only that served on 2 different positions as a director on that county fair. But I don't understand why we have got to spend $125,000, $150,000 upgrading one of the finest facilities in the state of Utah. And I guess the question I would have, and excuse me if I'm not up to date on it all, but my question would be, with everything that takes place there today, morning, noon, and night, why aren't them revenues taking any costs in that would help cover any expenses we have throughout the year? That's one issue. Another issue that's a sore, whatever you want to call it. To this day, I cannot figure out why we want to continue to maintain a county landfill that's putting us in debt when you can go over to a private individual who will pay us hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars back without one penny of involvement from Box Elder County. And I just sit here and I look at all this and I think, gosh, you know, that bond that we bonded for, the $16 million, I don't know where that all is now. That can probably be explained later, but I don't know where that is right now. But I'm just here to tell you, my old dad, in fact, my grandpa used to say, you got to separate your needs from your wants. Now, is all this stuff you all asking for, the departments, do we really need this, or is it just something we want? And with that, I thank you for all that you're doing, and I know it's tough times, but I'll tell you what, it's tough, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we have a resolution for you to pass those changes to the 2022 budget.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution 2214 for the 2022 budget amendments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
And now we're on to next year.
Right, to adopt the budget for 2023. I did give you a detailed outline of all the account items. We don't really open it for public hearing again, but we did reduce it to 7.5% COLA increase, including that affects like the elected officials as well. So that was reduced. And just to maybe answer some questions about the budget, the landfill is one entity that does make money for the county, like they are not in the negative, and the county is debt-free. So we have no debts we're paying at this point in time. Just under half of our budget is personnel and benefits. So if we want to make an impact on the budget, we really need to look at our personnel spending and those budgets. That'll have the biggest impact because it's the biggest dollar item we spend money on. If there's any other questions?
I was just gonna say, and how much of that is actually our law enforcement out of that?
I would have to look, but it's a good portion for sure.
I think it's 80%.
Or, you know,
I think it's
emergency,
80%.
emergency fire and police. So.
Right.
That and roads, which are two
Right.
very most
There's
essential services.
definitely
we
essential
provide.
services you're dealing with, and our biggest departments are sheriff and the road department as far as expenditures, but we need those things, so.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions
Nope.
after weeks and months of hearings and printouts and changes and
I'll make a motion, we adopt the 2023 budget resolution 2215.
Second?
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
The last item is just, I wanted to bring forward who we had selected as an audit committee for our audit for next year. We used an audit committee of Commissioner Scott and the treasurer, Sean Thornley, and myself. And we looked at 3 different firms that did proposals. And the one that we want to go with is Larson and Company. A big factor in that is experience. They audit 7 other counties, and their philosophy is to help. And so I just think it'll be a great move for the county in the future and to help myself and my staff get things really squared away and cleaned up.
In full disclosure, it's Larson, O-N, not
No
E-N.
relative, no relative of mine,
relation.
that I know of, unless, usually that's different ancestry.
Back a number of
And the
generations.
county's done a really good job of keeping that in-house as long as we can within that 15 or 5%. But now that, you know, they have quit, they're gonna retire, you know, we're probably gonna have to keep going out of, until somebody moves in that wants to do this kind of work.
We did have Davis and Bott apply, but they don't have as much experience in county government. They do some municipalities and,
Yeah, the thing that really impressed me with Larson is they have come proactively to the Utah Association of Counties several times, and they have done audit training, and they've done anti-fraud training, division of responsibilities, and just really helping the counties with their finances and making sure that things are being run properly. And they've been very proactive and very good to work with, even if you're not currently using their service.
Right.
And so, they like you mentioned, they do have a lot of great experience, and so, and this is a 3-year commitment.
it's a 5-year.
Any other questions,
No, I'm good.
discussion? Okay,
I'll make a motion, we approve the audit committee recommendation to select Larson and Company for the external audit for 2022 through 2026.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, for coming to support her.
Is this next one you, Commissioner Summers?
Yeah, NACO has proposed a public lands national center that would help us take care of some of the problems that are going on in all of our public lands.
Is this the 1% from the LATCF?
That's what they're asking for, is a 1% from, I call it the funny money from Biden bucks. And everybody, there's 3,900 counties in the nation, and they're asking 1% of the Biden bucks to come back to start this. And they think that on just a one-time, they'll be able to run this continually with just a one-time deposit, so. And
Yeah, what it is, it's called the LATCF, Local Assistance Tribal Consistency Fund.
he's the only one that knows how to say that, right,
Well,
Charlene?
it was kind of interesting because it just came to us in an email.
Yeah.
And basically what it is it's almost a supplemental PILT payment. It goes to a lot of the counties that do have large tracts of federal land, and it's to help make up the difference for the expenditures that are put out that we don't receive any tax revenue for. So we have to provide all of these essential services on federal land, but there's no tax revenue that comes in. And so as this comes in, it can be used for virtually anything except lobbying. And that was one of my questions is, well, isn't this going to be used for lobbying? And they said, no, this is strictly for studies and to educate the Congress and get out good data. And so that's what they're going to do is they're going to show what is actually taking place in these counties that have large tracts of federal land and what's happening. And then it will basically be a perpetual endowment, and they'll be able to use this money to provide these studies and this information long-term. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we ought to support it this year and next year if we can, depending on how much money, but they've had a really good showing so far. I think there's 27 out of the 29 counties that are gonna do it here so far in Utah. And I don't know about the nationwide, but they said 70% has already said yes.
And it was actually built into the legislation that way, that it's money that the counties weren't really expecting or had earmarked, similar to, I mean, different than PILT. We rely on that. And so to give up 1% and be able to retain the other 99 for future use is a pretty good offset. So I'd be totally supportive.
Okay. I don't know, Charlene, if you can just do the adjustment and say what 1% of that, we still got at least that much money left.
I think it would be about $9,800 each year.
But we haven't spent any of that money yet.
Okay.
The LATCF?
Right.
Okay.
We used ARPA for the,
Oh, okay,
Yep.
so that's still
okay,
Okay.
all right. Yeah, I'd make a motion that we support NACO in their public lands with 1% of the LA, whatever you said,
LATCF?
that.
Okay.
All these acronyms, I was waiting for you to say LOL or something like that.
EIEIO.
Okay. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And let's see, is this one you as well?
I don't know, you can speak on it. Unless you want me to.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
After the Spike 150 came and went, there was some money left over to be able to do a couple monuments. I don't know if you've been out there lately and seen I call it the Stairway to Heaven, the railroad that goes off into that was bought by Spike 150. And then they decided that they wanted to do one of the largest land art from Canada to Mexico. And it would be a 45-foot golden spike that would be just right off the freeway. We're trying for the exit, but come to find out it was in the airplane. I don't know why that didn't happen first, and now they're looking for a couple of other places. Paul could probably speak on this better than me. But do you want to come up and say where we're headed now, Paul?
Yes, so the land that was looked at by the SR 13 exit was purchased with an FAA grant. And so that yeah.
State and federal don't mix.
Right, so There are two sites that we're looking at, probably need to be a bit vague in terms of location. But there are two sites, and the State Office of Tourism has a grant that we're applying for to cover the Phase 1 environmental assessment of the site. And they ask for letters of support, and so that's what this is about. We'll include this letter in our grant request and get it off to the state before the 31st.
Okay.
And if you haven't had a chance to look at this, I don't know if it's out there in the public domain.
I don't
But
know
the-
if it
Pretty
is.
amazing.
The conceptual, I mean, it's actually started, but the concept behind this, if you're far enough away, it looks just like a giant golden spike being driven into the earth. And it looks kind of, rusty or weathered. But as you get closer to it, you find out that what it is it's actual faces of the people that were involved in the construction of the railroad. Chinese immigrants, Irish,
Women.
African American. I mean, it's everybody, and it's pretty powerful. And it's a nice legacy to honor those folks that came through.
And I
So
believe also the large bulk of the funding going into it is private funding,
It is, yeah.
foundation funding, and so on.
I think the other
Okay.
cool thing that we'll support is the ongoing billboard, hopefully, in the future. So Brigham City has 2 billboards that are desperately in need of an upgrade, and we've been working with the company, and I love their concept with the railroad coming up to the top. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be neat to see all this in Box Elder County. So, thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
okay, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve or have the letter of support signed for Brigham City and the Spike Monument.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're to the Scott Lyons portion of the meeting.
And we're almost on time if we cut you out. Just saying.
That works for me. So the first item is a public hearing that will need to be opened, but it is, I'll just give some quick background on it. The state passed House Bill 462, and essentially what it did was update moderate income housing plan requirements. And so we had to go in and update our moderate income housing plan to align with that new legislation. The moderate income housing plan is housed within our general plan, and in order to amend our general plan, we have to do a public hearing at both the Planning Commission and County Commission level. So we did the public hearing at the Planning Commission level on November 17th. They reviewed the amendments to the moderate income housing plan and forwarded a recommendation of approval. And so at this point, we are here.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for the amendment to the general plan, primarily concerning, strictly concerning moderate housing plan. If anybody would like to speak to this, specifically to the amendment to the general plan for moderate income housing, please come up at this time.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, guess we would need to approve the amendment at this point.
Yeah, and I guess I should, to be more clear, the amendment really, when this new legislation was passed and the county has to do its annual reporting on the moderate income housing, they are, basically, this is why we had to amend it, was they expect our reporting, there are certain, almost like a menu we can select from on how we're proposing to implement moderate income housing over the coming years. And we had already selected items off that menu, I think 2 years ago, when SB 34 first came out. And the language was slightly different between SB 34 and HB 462, and so we really just had to go in and modify the language so it's exactly matching 462, despite the fact that we're basically selecting the same item off the menu. We got the smoky salmon this time instead of the regular, the pan-fried salmon, I don't know. So,
Gotcha. Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. I make a motion, we approve the ordinance 571 general plan amendment, moderate income housing plan.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
all right. Next item is the Delbert Bruderer subdivision. This is a one-lot subdivision located at 4870 West, 14400 North. It has been reviewed and approved by all applicable departments and just comes to you for final approval. It consists of, it's a half-acre lot in an unzoned area.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion, we approve the Delbert Bruder subdivision.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor? Aye. And this one is for the critters.
Critters, yes. So ordinance 572, this is regarding the definition of animals and fowl for recreation and family food production. So this is kind of what regulates animals in our residential zones. We've had issues with both the keeping of animals and the ability to kind of regulate that with regard to smaller lots in the county. As we see more of the urban and rural mix, as you know, more urbanites continue to come north, I shouldn't say they're the ones that are causing the problems, but usually they are. So anyway,
I don't
this
think she got that. Can you say that louder?
this amendment's been hashed out for several months in the Planning Commission. A public hearing was held on October 20th, and a few additional revisions were made. And following that, at the Planning Commission's meeting last Thursday, that would be December 15th, they forwarded a recommendation of approval to you, the County Commission, on this text amendment to the definition of animals and fowl for recreation and family food production. So
This might be a good segue to talk about how Tremont is full, and we're gonna have to start doing something else when animals get out. The county doesn't have our own facility, so we go with Tremont and Brigham. And like I said, Tremont has called us and let us know that they are full. So with the more animals being around and running around, these guys are tasked with going and taking care of those things. So we're gonna have to do something in the future for that problem. So hopefully Sheriff will bring something forth after we talk to the mayor and go from there.
I appreciate your work on this, and just one thing to kind of clarify, this would be in our code, and so it would be an offense, it could be cited. Having said that, this is not something that we are actively going out and looking for. Generally, when these things come up, it's because there's a nuisance and somebody is exercising their right to have animals in a way that impacts all of their neighbors in a very negative way. And so this is just to prevent really excess number of animals in a small confined area. This is in no way meant to regulate or have anything to do with existing agricultural use for existing livestock.
Yep.
So, any questions, thoughts, gentlemen?
Nope.
Okay.
I think you said it well. I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 572.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, final item is the county's currently entered into a subdivision improvement agreement with Brookside Land Investments LLC regarding the Brookside Ranches subdivision. And the some of the improvements to that subdivision haven't been able to be completed during the time frame of that original improvement agreement. So proposed is an amendment, number one, to that agreement, which would basically clarify what improvements remain, the financial security to cover those improvements, as well as the extension of the timeline to get those improvements completed. So I guess that's the short of it. And it's been, this has kind of been hashed over by myself, the county engineer, and the county attorney. And we have that amendment here for your, for the extension, amended extension for your approval.
So does that just go into like an escrow fund so that it's there, so that we know that there's the financial ability, and then
Yeah,
it
so
gets
on the-
extended?
Yeah, on this particular one, the developer used a letter of credit agreement as opposed to an escrow agreement. But yeah, he's required to show that the required funds. So on the original one, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, it was somewhere around $460,000 for all the improvements. The vast majority of those improvements have been done, and there's about $67,000 of improvements remaining. And that includes, that 67 also includes a 10% warranty period that we require the improvements to go 1 year before a final reinspection occurs. So this new agreement would basically amend it, require that 67 as the financial security, and then set up a new timeline for those things to be completed.
What's the anticipated time frame?
The extension to it would allow up to 18 months to complete the improvements, and then the warranty is a year after that. But the anticipated timeline is like June.
Because the sooner they get it done, the sooner that 1 year warranty period kicks in, and then they're completely done.
Good to go.
Makes sense.
I'll make a motion, we approve the amended subdivision.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by
Not
improvement
amendments,
agreement.
Yeah, the improvement
The
agreement.
improvement agreement, yep, sorry.
I'll still
Brookside
second
Ranches.
that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers, second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You need some signatures?
Yeah.
Hey, Darren,
Gonna say,
you can come up front.
thanks for all your work, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Sorry, just kind of rolling these up. When's the storm supposed to hit? Really? So Logan Canyon was the only thing that got it? Yeah. Really? That's too bad. Oh, yeah, it says for the next 20 minutes. Oh, no, it says 1, 2, and 3. 70% chance right now, and that goes to 30 and 30. It's supposed to snow on Christmas Day.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, you just got your wish, it just changed.
General plan ordinance?
That'd be terrible.
This is, Mike brought in the development agreement that you guys approved last time. He was wanting to get that signed and recorded.
Did I sign this one?
No, this is the one you guys approved subject to.
He
So
gave
it's
you a handful of those drink
notarized as
mixes?
well, yeah.
think they look good on the. That'd be cool. So they do almost like a Gatorade pack. You put in the water and shake it up. But it's without all the other crap. It's just all natural.
Some gobbledygook on there.
They put a flavor pack in it. The Houston Texans are using it now.
Okay. And so we'll read it later when they email it.
I had one yesterday. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they kind of said. I just set them up with a huge multinational company that said they loved the idea, so.
Steve already dated this one for you on accident.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
I didn't know that.
You were glad we stopped him before he signed it for you.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks for letting me know.
So those will need to have all the papers with you.
If you can bring this down, sorry. I like to turn it upside down.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Lyons. You've had a busy year.
Yes, we have.
Okay. We were just made aware, for those of you that follow local news, Winnie Nelson,
Richmond.
Richmond,
Yeah.
yeah, Richmond, passed away. It did a lot of reporting for
Out
out west
promontory,
for
uh-huh.
years. And so we appreciate her
Unique
service. and-
articles, very
Yeah.
very hometown feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so our condolences go out to her family as well. So thanks for letting us know on that. Okay, let's see. Darren, over here on deck.
Hello, commissioners and short-time commissioners. I don't know if you've seen a copy of this agreement. It's an agreement with Cache County and Box Elder County with UDOT for the review for possible improvements to SR 8991 from I-15 up into Cache County. This agreement goes until January 30th of 2025, and our contribution would be $30,000 of the $250,000 total.
Are you gonna be able to fund that out of roads?
I think out of the Class B or D road fund, yeah.
My question is Annie or Steve had a chance to look over the agreement?
Annie has looked over this, yeah.
I have, yep.
She
Do you-
didn't have any issues with it at the time, so.
Okay.
We had a discussion with UTA and Region 1 about 12th West. Will you make sure that 12th West is involved in this, because north and south is gonna be a big thing between now and then. It could take some of that off of 1100 South and such, so make sure they're looking at 12th West in this.
Okay,
Yeah, they're doing shoulder work. They're on, what is it, 5th South that goes past the railroad tracks, past the Stake Center and connects to 12th. And there's a massive subdivision going in down there, and so 12th is gonna get pushed through sooner than later, I would imagine. So, yeah, that's a good point.
We just don't wanna get the future left out of those things, so.
That'll be a major collector right there that's gonna push on to 1100 South, so.
yeah. And South Willard just completed their
Same thing.
big portion there by Flying J and Willard Bay, so, yeah, it'll all connect soon.
Okay.
They've asked that it's e-signed, and I emailed a copy to Marla. I don't know if you've seen it, Jeff. Scott, Commissioner Scott, sorry. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the contract 2240 with UDOT for US 8991 project.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Darren.
thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks for all your work out west with these guys too.
Sheriff,
Good afternoon, Kevin Potter, Sheriff. I'm asking you to sign a contract for, between us and Carl Spencer. He does the maintenance on our tower out above Yost. It's a one-year contract, it's $4,500, and it's a real, he's done it since the tower got built. Ice builds up on the guide wires after a storm, and it'll pull the tower down if it doesn't get knocked off. And he's done it since the tower's been built, and the state, to get up to their towers, they have to fly a helicopter. And, you know, you wouldn't make one trip for a helicopter for what he does for us after every storm. So he's done it for a long time, and he's doing the county good service at a good price.
Yeah, I'm assuming snowmobile time's a little bit less than helicopter, so, okay. Any questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
I'll make a motion, we approve the snow and ice removal contract 22-44.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
If we're giving him $4,500, we ought to probably look at the state and what they're giving us to go up and play around with Willard Peak Road. Is that right, Sheriff? Willard Peak Road?
Let's see. Has
We probably ought
Jenica
to
left the
visit that
building?
again.
Did we lose Jenica?
Jenica outside?
She will be back just as quick as she can.
Okay,
We can bring it up.
we can probably go on. I think what's going on here is we extended the COVID
By 30 days.
19, and I think we've got it through the end of December. And we just need to decide if we want to push it forward going into 2023, or if we want to let it go. The only question that I would have is, have we had anybody use this recently?
I don't think so when I talked to her yesterday. It's funny how the flu just came back. So
I've got a head cold, and so out of an abundance of caution, being the last meeting and everything going on, I took a COVID test this morning, and full disclosure, I'm negative. So I'm assuming that we're into head cold and flu season.
just like the
so-
last 2 years.
And you're gonna get me in
Sorry,
trouble.
I'm gonna get in trouble. It's not my last meeting, I better shut up.
Well, no, I was the chair of the health department, so I gotta be really.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we.
Well, I think
I
the
would-
future commission can bring it back if they want to, but I don't know why we need
Yeah,
to extend it.
unless there's a major issue or a case by case, I would think let's
Let
move
it go.
forward and get into a post-COVID era finally.
Okay.
So no action needs to be taken. We can just let it
Yeah,
expire.
we'll let it expire.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me. All right. We do have a closed session.
And we have an
Do we want to do
RDA.
the RDA first? Okay. All right, yeah, let's move into our RDA meeting.
It's gonna last about 2 seconds.
Pretty close.
Just 1 second to start.
Thanks, Chrissy. I keep forgetting. I'm like, going, where is it? Okay.
Boyd and Lee, I hope you're paying attention. They won't let me near electronics. I don't know why, but
Keith is grounded stand from all electronics.
if you watch the screen there, he's
Okay.
bouncing his head, yes.
All right, so we'll go ahead and begin our RDA meeting. We do have minutes from our last two from November 2nd and December 7th.
I'll make a motion, we approve the RDA minutes from November 2nd and December 7th, 2022.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there's no current agenda items, but there could be a former agenda item that we need to revisit.
If you want to make a motion to reconsider a former,
Oh, yeah, make a motion, we reconsider the former things with the Bear River Canal Company, the shares.
Yeah, and just a real brief update, because this is a different meeting than our commission meeting. We've typically leased Canal Company shares back to Bear River, we've put it back into the Bear River Canal Company in their lease pool. We've been made aware that that might not be the highest and best use, and so we're planning on sending that to the Planning Commission through surplus property. They can look at it and see if it would make more sense to just lease those to somebody that's interested or even entertain a possible sale. So that's the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the RDA.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn our RDA meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh yeah, no, you handled it. That was right. Thanks. Did you make two motions?
What's that?
You made two motions? And I was just not paying attention.
Yeah, we made a motion.
You're on it. You don't need me here.
Okay.
Make a motion, we go back into our regularly scheduled business meeting.
I think we did that.
Oh, did we?
We did.
I missed that. Andy had me flustered.
So our next one would be,
Is it just personnel?
It's just personnel.
Is this the one where you want to,
This is where we need to skip 16 and go to 17.
Closed session? Okay. So we need to go to a closed session?